Hey, this is Rob from Livermore Live Music. There's a bunch of people out there, including Livermore Live Music, that are using Zoom meetings to bring live music to people, and we are using that a lot. This is a quick tutorial to help you use the what's called original sound feature in Zoom meetings to make your sound a lot better when you're playing music for your friends through Zoom. So there's two things you have to do in order to make that work. The first is have an audio interface into your computer. Don't just plug something into the microphone input, or if you're on a laptop, don't just use the Surface microphone. Have an audio interface that's connected to your computer. And then the second thing is to configure your Zoom client on your computer to actually use that audio interface in the best way. So I'm going to talk about both those things. So let's start off with an audio interface. So most of you probably know that's just a box or some kind of a unit, usually a USB connection that you plug microphones or guitars or keyboards or whatever into. That connects to your computer, and that's how you get sound into your computer. If you've done recording with a digital audio workstation, multi-track recording, you know all about it. I'm going to assume for the moment that you have an audio interface into your computer and that you know how to use it. At the very end, I'll come back and talk. If you don't know a lot about audio interfaces, I'll talk a little bit more about that. So here you can see this is my audio interface, happens to be a Steinberg UR44, but of course there's a million great products out there. And what you do is hook up, the simplest configuration is to have a decent quality or a high quality wide diaphragm microphone and plug that into the first port, the left side audio input port on your audio interface. And then when you're entertaining, you're playing your guitar, you're singing, the microphone will pick that up, it'll go into your audio interface, go into your computer. I, turns out, don't do that. I've got a mixing board back behind my monitor here, and my microphone and my keyboards and my guitar are plugged into the mixing board. And then I have the left side of the main output of the mixing board that goes into my audio interface. So you can go either way. If you're just going to play guitar and sing, a mic into your audio interface is great. If you've got other things that you want to do, or you want to have a little bit more control over the sound with equalization, things like that, go ahead and use a mixing board. The second thing is to make sure that your Zoom client is configured to use that sound, because by default, the Zoom software thinks you're just talking into a microphone and you're just doing voice, and it puts all kinds of audio processing on it, which is great for audio conferences on Zoom, but for music, not so good. So here's what you do to make sure that the input from your audio interface is what's being used when you're on a Zoom meeting entertaining people with your music. So you go to the Zoom client software, not the web interface, but the actual Zoom application that's on your computer, and sign in. So I'm going to do that real quick. And my password. And then once you're logged into the app, you go up here to the upper right corner and click on Settings. Go over here and select the audio option on Settings, and then come down to Advanced. And the magic here is to make sure that this option, Show in Meeting option to enable original sound from microphone, is clicked on, which mine is. Once you've got that set up, then when you join a Zoom meeting, you'll see a little box on the screen that tells it whether or not to use the original sound or the Zoom audio processing, and you want to make sure you use original sound. You get into a Zoom conference, there's a couple ways to do that. I'll just start up the Zoom app on my desktop. I need to sign in first. And then once you're signed into the app, you join a conference. Again, there's several ways you can do that. I'll just do join and put in the meeting ID. And I'll be joined to the conference. And I'll get into the full screen view here. And the trick here is to look in the upper left corner of your screen, and you'll see a new option called Turn on Original Sound. That's what we've been wanting to do all along. We enabled it in our settings. Now we can click that and it turns blue. That's what you want. When that box is blue, that means that the Zoom client is using the original sound option, which means it's taking the sound straight from your audio interface without doing any of the voice processing algorithms that Zoom would normally do that makes your music sound much better. While you're in the conference, there's a couple things you can do to sort of optimize what that sound looks like. So go down to the left corner of the screen. There's an up arrow next to the microphone icon. You click on that and go to audio settings. And here you can test the microphone, your microphone levels. You can see that it's kind of hopping up a little bit here. I'm turned away from my mic, so my level's kind of down, but normally you would want the input level to be up here around 50 or 60 or 70%. And you can use this slider to adjust the gain of the volume. You may also need to adjust the gain on your audio interface. How you do that depends on which interface you've got, but usually there's just a knob you turn to turn the gain on the audio interface up or down. So you need to balance those things so that you're not clipping the audio interface, not overdriving the audio interface. And then same thing, you want the audio level that shows up in the test audio thing to be here around 50%. Do those things and your audio should sound great, and whatever music you present to people should sound really good. Talk a little bit about audio interfaces. So if you already have one, you know how to use it, you don't need to worry about this. But if you don't have an audio interface for your computer, then if you're gonna contribute to music on Zoom meetings, if there's a bunch of open mics out there, or you're going to get on with some of the Livermore Live music things we're doing, you're going to want to have an audio interface. You can Google that, what's the best audio interface for my computer. There's a bunch of them out there. They're all great, although you get what you pay for. The more expensive ones will have more inputs, they'll have better preamps, generally better quality. So just Google that and find the one that'll work for you. But if you don't want to do that, you just want a recommendation, go get yourself a Steinberg UR22 Mark II. Make sure you get the Mark II because you can still find some of the older UR22s. They're a couple bucks cheaper, but not worth it. Get a Steinberg UR22 Mark II. That is a great audio interface. It's about 180 bucks, which is, not pocket change, but it's not super expensive, but it's a great product. It's supported by Steinberg. It has both microphone and line level inputs. And it's also got a feature that makes it really easy to interface with your digital audio workstation or Zoom meeting or things like that. So if you need a recommendation, you don't want to think about it, just go get you one of those. You plug it into your computer. Normally, the first time you turn something like that on, the Windows or Mac platform will see it. They'll walk you through getting it set up, and there you go. If you have any questions or issues about the audio interface, please feel free to just give me an email, info@livermorelivemusic.com, and I'll help walk you through it. While I'm here, let me mention another thing. Doesn't have to do with sound, but of course, if you're going to be in a video conference, you need to have a camera attached to your computer. A lot of computers these days come with it, but if your computer doesn't have a camera attached to it right now, then to really do the Zoom thing and perform music for other people, you want a camera attached to it. There's a couple ways to go there. There's a number of inexpensive webcams that you can buy. You just get them from Amazon for 25 or 50 bucks. I mean, you can pay a lot of money for them, but you can also find an inexpensive, perfectly functional webcam. You can also use your phone or an old tablet as a webcam with a Wi-Fi connection to your computer. There's a number of apps that are out there that let you do that. I happen to use one called Epoccam, EPOCCAM, but there's a bunch of others. And that's how you make sure you've got a video input to go along with the great sounding audio that now we've set up. So that's how you do it. And again, if you have any questions, any issues, just give me an email, info@livermorelivemusic.com. And I hope you show up on one of our Zoom meetings and share some music with us.